Thank you very much, Elder John of 24. My pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you with us tonight. Today, we are going to be discussing harmonizing the obedient family to actualize good governance at all levels. That is what we are going to be looking at today. And beginning the discussion, sir, the obedient movement, ab initio from the onset, stood and came out for good governance. It started with the beginning of the NSAS protests and the determination of a category of people, particularly the young ones, agitating for good governance and want to have that in place. But as of today, what we are seeing seems not to correspond with that initial drive for good governance. What do you think is responsible for that, sir?
Okay, I think I need to understand your question a bit better. Is it with the obedient movement or with
we are discussing the obedient movement. I'm saying the zeal for, or rather the quest for good governance at the onset, that burning fire. We don't seem to be seeing that today from the approach of this same category of people. In with reference to all the cycle of elections that have played, we saw that fire very high during the 2023 elections. But between the 2023 elections and now, we have had a few off-cycle elections. We don't seem to see that same fire that started for the agitation for good governance. We didn't see it in any of these off-cycle elections, the way it took off. And we begin to wonder, sir, what do you think could be responsible for that?
Okay, yes, thank you very much. That is an interesting question. I had to ask you again to be sure. Well, the obedient movement, first of all, we may need a brief definition of what obedient is. For now, the dictionary definition is, being faithful or loyal. But it is coined out of the person who looked at Nigeria and was able to resonate the actual issues that were wrong with Nigeria, was able to capture them and began to prefer idealistic solutions that can be concretized and achieved. I'm talking of His Excellency, the former governor of Anambra State, and the Labour Party presidential candidate in the person of Mr. Peter Gregory Obi. And that's where the OB came from, obedience came from. During the elections, you had slogans that are coined after various presidential aspirants, or candidates, I beg your pardon. For the PDP, we know it was His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, so they say articulated. For APC, the slogan was Renewed Hope, although Aka, also known as Emilokon, it's my turn. For the NNPP, Kwankwasia, because it's Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, His Excellency, former governor of Kano State. But the antecedents and the projection of Peter Obi actually resonated and captured the hearts of the people. I think he was the one who was able to articulately presented hope to the people, vast majority of Nigerians. Nigerians who were yearning for a change. Nigerians who wanted security. Some obedience to define good governance, they would say, okay, it's security. For others, there is hunger, we want to have more food. We want to have food to feed our families. For others, it is marginalization. Are we not part of Nigeria? For others, it is the quest for justice and fair play. Like, why is it that governance, especially the immediate past government of the Buhari, was a bit too nepotistic, sacrificing meritocracy and federal character on the altar of nepotism and political compensations? For some, they just wanted corruption out of Nigeria. So Peter Gregory Obi was able to capture that in his presentation of himself. And then when they take a look at what these people have been able to achieve, are they able to keep their promise? And when the vast majority of Nigerians looked back, they were sure that when Peter Obi was governor of Anambra State, these things he says he wants to replicate at the national level, he had been able to do it effectively without an iota of doubt, receiving local, state, national, and international accolades and recognition for that effort. So obedient movement caught fire. Can you imagine that before INEC lifted the ban on campaigns, before they gave a go-ahead for political campaigns to start in 2023, there were over 800 support groups gingering their support, harnessing their members, contributing, making billboards, making posters, making the social media go wild before Peter Obi even put shishi. So it was a movement for the people. It was the Nigerian population at home and diaspora, and even sympathizers of Nigeria, the West African sub-region and Africa as a whole, was happy that Nigeria has a chance to pull through and change the narrative for the Black race. So it was an overwhelming support. And they believed that the process was going to be free and fair. Now, I've talked a little about the person of Peter Obi and the process. Now, and the promise. Why is it that the momentum has died down? Without mincing of words, we were betrayed. Nigerians as a whole were betrayed by the independent, not so independent National Electoral Commission, and let down woefully, I repeat, woefully, by the judicial system of Nigeria. We were also not too happy with the cooperation we received from the international community, especially governments who stand to benefit if Nigeria is not governed by our best. We have ended up falling into the hands of a kakistotic governance, and all hope was lost. People wanted to take to the streets after Mahmoud Mohammed, professor, the chairman of INEC, gave a promise that by morning, 8 o'clock, election results will be announced. However, all of a sudden, 4 hours before then, by 4 a.m., he had declared Tinubu the winner. But then there was a call for calm. Is it true? Is it false? Is it true? Is it false? I know that Abia State at some point mobilized. They were in the streets. And, people were just talking. Then there was a call for calm. Let us see whether the judicial process will be free and fair. Alas, when the Supreme Court came with its judgment, it was all based on technicalities. And nothing was done about it. So people lost hope, lost courage. In previous elections, once you have lacunas or dissentment, or when people were not satisfied with election results, they know who they voted for. Typical case was the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and Buhari, saga at the end of the day. People just went back because you needed to prove, that this guy is actually having a primary school certificate. A lot of falsifications came up. Well, people just went back and continued their lives. For one reason, they have their farms to go to, they have families to feed, they have businesses to continue. Nigeria was a hopeless situation, so at least let me go back and take care of my family. In this very instance, for the 2023 elections, there was no home to go back to. For those who are going to the farms, and let me mention this clearly, we know that some states are civil service states in Nigeria, which is the majority of the states out of the 36, plus Abuja. Most people who are even civil servants, they have farms, they go back to the farms because farming is not illegal in Nigeria. But insecurity has overtaken all aspects, almost every part of Nigeria at different levels of intensity. So when people went back to go to their farms, there was nothing to go to. So there are a lot of other things. For instance, the declaration of subsidy must go, and within 24 hours, NNPC arbitrarily just decided that the price should go up by over 200%. The hardship sent in. Now, this sort of hardship, you don't have a farm to go to. You have to feed your family. What do? You either go and steal, or you just look for every means possible. And that was what clamped down the hope of Nigerians. If I go out to fight for good governance, my children will die of hunger. So people were disenfranchised, they were discouraged, and everybody was to your tent, O Israel, survival of the fittest. Some went back to those who have stolen the mandate of the majority of Nigerians, cap in hands, to beg for appointments or beg for subsistence because they have nowhere else to run to. So to answer the question in a straightforward sentence, there was a zeal because Nigeria had a chance in Peter Obi to make a big difference. He was a new kid on the block with vision and mission, and he spoke the minds of Nigerians. But when the electoral process was gravely marred with violence, the collaboration of security agencies who supervise vote buying, and we have videos all over social media, and then the dishonesty of INEC, who promised that they are going to penalize their staff who had a hand in it, and up to today, nobody in INEC, as far as we know, has been penalized or has made public. And then the judiciary, which is the last hope of the masses, now has turned to be the last war of the masses of Nigeria, failing us. People naturally will get discouraged, but they had their lives to lead. So there was no much vigor or hope, any iota of hope in the Nigerian process as it stands, the Nigerian electoral process as we see it today. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. You have covered almost all of it. But clearly, governance is serious business. If we are determined and we saw a role model in Mr. Peter Obi, and after all the disappointments from INEC, from the judiciary, and all of that, knowing fully well that governance is all of it, don't you think that we should do more in pursuing governance? Because the truth is that governance actually, at the end of the day, determine all of our existence within any political space. In any country, governance determines everything. Policy formulation, policy implementation. So now, if we give up at this stage, then you think we might be looked at? I mean, when I say we, I mean the obedient movement. Don't you think we might be looked at as people who are really not serious, or people who really don't know what they want? Or like they say, they will soon lose and they will soon run out of steam.
Yes, you are perfectly right. You know, let's picture this one as a boxing bout. When you are giving a very serious blow, you know, any blow that is below your waist is illegal. Your waistline is illegal in boxing. And you were hoping that your opponent was going to be a sportsman, and the opponent gave a blow below your waist as a man. You know how that one feels. And then the referee says, go on. Is either you decide to stay down, putting your gloves between your legs and cry forever, or now that you know that both your opponent and the referee are in the same camp, you would know that it is now between you and God. You either surrender and go with shame and the pain that you have received, or stand up and fight back. Why am I saying this? The 2023 presidential elections, Nigerian presidential election, was not a knockout. It was an illegal blow dealt with in the presence of the media and all the spectators, and with the connivance of the empire. So Nigerians have the choice of whether to stand up and continue the fight. Now, I'm saying Nigerians, I mean obedience, because just to put this into perspective, in every political party, there were obedience. And I don't mean people who only have the love for Nigeria, but people who actively came out to vote in Labour Party, irrespective of what card they are carrying in their pockets of the party they belong to. I'll give you a typical example. In Plateau State, for instance, Peter Obi of the Labour Party overwhelmingly took over the state in terms of presidential elections and vote counts, despite the shoes and the blank from EC8A that were flaunted in most parts of the country. Despite the vote buying at the various polling units, he came up tops. That's for the presidential elections. 2 weeks later, the same state moved their votes to Barrister Caleb Mutfwang of the PDP and overwhelmingly took the state. Yeah, there were political pluses and minuses, but the margin was large. So obedience are not in a single party. Obedience are people who assess their states and begin to now move the focus from the traditional, we are the lords of Nigeria or the lords of so and so state, but to people who actually have a track record of being good people and politically people who have the mind of and the posture of being good leaders, even from their antecedents, what they have done in the past. The same thing that went for Benue State, for instance. Taraba State had almost a similar issue, but Benue State, it was Labour Party in the presidential. When it came down to the state elections, APC and a Reverend Father. And the big twist there is, why APC? Are you not complaining that the APC government is the one that is allowing your people to be killed in Agatu, in all these places? Yes, that was a case. But then they had hope and trust in the governor that the APC was able to present as their candidate. And so the obedience are not a possession of any political party. They are a group of Nigerians who want good governance, who are tired of the corruption, a group of Nigerians who want security of lives and property, a group of Nigerians who are now looking at not the party, but the candidate. So yes, people have a chance to now decide, do we continue fighting for good governance, or do we lay down and forgive and japa, or let Nigeria go to blazes? It is a choice, Mr. Agbenifo, that we have. But right from the day that the Supreme Court judgment was pronounced, to the disappointment of most Nigerians, some people decided that it was not going to be business as usual. In fact, the elections were over. The final straw to break the camel's back in terms of governance of Nigeria for the next 4 years, beginning 2023, has been struck. But some people who were formerly support groups, obedient support groups, began to cluster together. And that is where organizations like COPDEM came to be formed, starting with 6 strong support groups that had a coverage of the whole of the 36 states of Nigeria. We're talking of Doctors for Peter Obi, POS and Peter Obi Support Network, Women for Peter Obi, and we also have Up North Ambassadors. And they came together and they formed a coalition for the protection of democracy. This time, right from that very day, they were working together and reaching the entire 36 states to encourage people to stand up. We had also the Big Tent, who were still very lively after. We still have today new groups coming up, having realized that we cannot lay low and die in silence. Like there's a group now known as Tupac, TUPLUC. They're all coming up in realization of the fact that we cannot surrender Nigeria like that. Where do we go to? Do we go to Niger, whom we have tried to bombard? Do we run to Cameroon that we are fighting over Bakassi for? Do we go into Benin Republic? Which African country can take the population of Nigeria if we all decide to japa? So it is not even an alternative on the table. Now we cannot all swim in the Atlantic Ocean. So Nigeria has to be revived, and people are beginning to realize that. And mind you, it cuts across every tribe and every religion. I love when people say, obedience, they are just people from Umahia and Onisha trying to make noise. What do you mean? Some of the greatest proponents of good governance and logically intelligent critic of what is going on, analyzing situations, are not even from the Igbo extraction. I said some. Look at Femi Falana. Look at Femi Fankayode. Look at David Ainde. These are people who have Yoruba extractions. Look at Sani Shehu. Look at Aisha. Look at, there are a lot of people, the digital imam, who also have this vibrant young preacher from Jos, Isa El-Buba. So it cuts across religion, ethnicity, and every kind of barriers. It is non-exclusive. So we have Nigerians who are beginning to tell their people, wake up. It was not a knockout. It was an illegal blow. And let us remain in the race, and let us continue. Let us encourage one another. We have a better chance now that we know that the empire and the opponent are on the same side, but we have the power of the people with us, and we can defeat them even with all illegality if we have a second chance. So I think I'll stop here, Mr. John. I don't know if I've answered your question well. Hello, Mr. Agbanifo.
Yes, battling with my answer. Thank you very much. Yes, you answered me. Now, you have spoken well and you have talked about quite a lot. Now, consider the fact that we are taking this from the obedient movement, a concept, right, for good governance and all of that. Now, good governance cannot be compromised if we need to change the narrative in the political space. Good governance cannot be compromised. And now, if you look at what we see today at the states, I made particular reference to the off-cycle elections. You see today where, for instance, you see young people, let me use Edo State as a case study. You see where young people are supporting the APC. Now, like you have said, beyond the political parties, people are not trying to look at the individual. But it's not possible for you to eradicate the influence of the political party. Also using the example of Benue State of the Reverend Father, who is now a governor, of course, we heard his complaints that the party is overwhelming him. Now, looking at that, don't you think the obedient movement should go outside of the circle of not looking at the outside of the circle of not beyond the political party and the individual? Don't you think we should concentrate on one particular individual? Because they are all scattered all over the political parties. For instance, like I have said, you have some of the obedience supporting APC, you have somebody supporting PDP, you have somebody supporting and one will wonder why you support the APC, considering all the difficulties that we are going through today from the inception of the government. So don't you think we should come together to actually be able to identify one person and leave out these parties and just say, this is who we support?
You're absolutely right. You're right. Yes, you know, we can all go our separate ways and begin to follow our candidates. You know, sometimes there are some internal state parameters that the state actors, the obedience and non-obedience, look at. Some of them, like, it is very difficult for a Nigerian if his brother is going to contest, is vying for an office, no matter his past records, he would like to still, you know, support that person. That is not to say that people who are supporting the current participants or candidates in elections are nepotic, but there is that bound. It is psychological, it is deep, especially for immediate family members. To the extent that when you have a judge and his son is affected in a case, they don't allow him to sit over that case, no matter how brilliant, no matter how free or liberal or professional he would be. There will be a conflict of interest. So we can exclude that cluster. It is best if the obedience come together within a state, lay parameters for who they want, what they want in a governor, what they want in a local government chairman, what they want in a councillor, and then pick that person out from whatever party. You know, that worked out so well for Peter Obi during the 2023 elections. For most of the people who voted him, he doesn't even know them. He didn't even campaign with them around their area before they had already, you know, falling in love with his prospects and other things. And also there was this gentleman's agreement for rotational leadership in some of the states and sometimes at the federal level, which people within those states believe that this agreement should be respected so that we'll have inclusion, so that we'll have non-marginalization. And it is not only per senatorial zone. What about inclusion for our mothers, the female gender? What about inclusion for persons living with disabilities? You know, that agreement in some places has been going on, though not so pronounced with concerning the youths, the women, and persons living with disability. Now, having said that, let me bring this small example to make this point clear. Now, when people do not understand that they have to overcome emotion and go for the interests of their constituency above all other considerations, it will be difficult for that unity to be achieved. Before the coming of democracy, the government of the people, for the people, by the people, our forefathers had traditional rulers. Most of them had ruled generation after generation peacefully in 90% of the instances. They could have issues coming up here and there, but they're able to resolve them. But the processes of ascension to the throne, whether it's in the Benin Kingdom, whether it is in the Oduduwa Kingdom or the ancient Oyo Empire, whether it is within the Borno Caliphate with the Mais, and all across the Nok culture within the Middle Belt, the various tribes, they had laid down standards and they lived in peace with their neighbors. Most of them, they had kingmakers who were not qualified to be kings so that they will have justice. And these people were saddled with the responsibility of deciding who would rule over us. The king, in most instances, may have 1, 2, 3, 4 wives and 15 or 25 children. Now, these people who are the kingmakers know that when you bring a tyrant or a half-wit or a thief to rule over all these people, the people will suffer. When the people are suffering, they will ask themselves, who imposed this tyrant or thief or this half-wit to be our main decision maker, our leader? Then the blame will go to them. And they will hold those kingmakers accountable. So more often than not, there was a consensus, there were meetings. Meetings signify a coming together. Now, that is one key aspect that I think the obedient movement is facing. The final issue that I think I'll need to just touch on is within people who were clamoring for Peter Obi, not all of them were actually obedient. Some of them were of the old block of the nature of politics. Politics is the corridor for money. Whenever there is support, money must come for mobilization, money must come for grassroots, door to door, money must come. So they rush in there. Some of the political parties were ABC, Nigeria Limited, or XYZ Nigeria Limited. They don't have a shot at the presidency, but they occupy the space and then they wait for whoever will negotiate with them, and then they go. And the party chairman and the leadership just share whatever comes in. So we had that mindset of the leadership of political structures or parties or institutions. So we still had them during the 2023 elections. Now, people were also having that mindset who were obedient without washing it off, hoping that if my own support group did best, Peter Obi will give us appointment. How many people can Peter Obi appoint in his government if he actually wants to cut down the cost of governance? So while we are patriotic, we have not been fully cleansed to realize that there are sacrifices to be made. And in this process of redeeming Nigeria, there are things we need to, attributes we need to possess that are different from how Nigerian political parties have presented themselves before Nigerians and in the international community. So we need obedience to know that I might work for Peter Obi or work for anybody who is going to be a good leader from now till the next, till he is on seat. But he might not even know me or know my name. However, when Nigeria has been transformed from corruption, consumption to production, my children will feel better. When Nigeria has security and our bushes and forests are cleansed of bandits, killer herdsmen, ISIS and Boko Haram terrorists, I can go to sleep if my wife is traveling from Abuja to Lagos, knowing that there will be safety. So the benefits and the dividends of good governance should be the focus, the benefits that we should be looking at, and not political appointments or recognition in any way. That way we could do away with things that stop us from coming together. The obedient movement will do better if we are together and united, but we need to do away with certain traits we have held on to strongly. The person who is not in your support group is not your enemy. There is a need for us to extend a hand of friendship. While we're extending that hand of friendship, our own support groups, our own individual obedient community must also cleanse itself. Like the popular African adage that goes, if you want to go far, you should go with someone else, go in pairs. If you want to go very fast, you run alone. But like I got from the last interview we had with Val, so Obasanjo made something to it. His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo said, yes, we want to go fast and we want to go far. So we need to go together alone, which means each obedient group must be willing to cleanse itself of moles, of greedy politicians, of people who don't mean Nigeria well, but see the political process as a money-enriching venture. We need to weed them off and have a structure that is accountable. If at this moment you are giving one of your members money to deliver maybe carrots from Benue to Lagos, and he gives you an exorbitant price, begin to watch that person. He's probably an old stock politician who is not yet obedient to the welfare of Nigeria. We need to cleanse us. We need to be accountable in our various units as obedient. Then we can come together and then face these people. But as long as we have greed or pride or trying to prove that we are the best, then we're going to have a problem. So I think that is where we're having a problem with the unity of the obedience. And we can work on that if we want to. That is my thinking, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for all the contributions. Now, clearly, we cannot work if we don't come together. We have to come together. We have to have a common focus. And now, good governance has been our focus. And like you have enumerated, it will be better if we can begin a media movement to identify standard indices that will enable us project electable officers to say, okay, in a particular circle at the local government level, at the state level, at the constituency level. These are the parameters that we want from whoever is going to represent us. But again, sir, the question will be, how do we achieve this? Because the obedient movements, the greater percentage of them are people that are actually clamoring for good governance because of what they have experienced in the last 25 years of democracy, irrespective of the fact that we always have people who are coming from the old molds who always want to have it as business as usual. But we know that majority of the people that we have now are all clamoring for good governance. And considering all of these limitations that we have around us, where do we go from here? What thoughts on that, sir? So that we can begin to actually put these things into practical actions, rather than what we see today, where people just go here and there because of what they want to benefit.
Okay, yeah. Where do we go from here? How do we begin to put our houses in order for good governance? Clamoring for good governance, you are right, Mr. Bonifor, transcends just to talk about it. Conversations around any progressive organization have to be solution-driven, or else it will either be a parliament of lamentation or just a gossip center. Whether it is on social media, whether it is within a family meeting, whether it is in the House of Representatives. We can all talk, we can all, argue and bring out what is wrong with good governance. The key question is, what are we doing about it? What are we going to do about it? Now, what we are going to do about it is policy. But do we now have the willpower to implement those policies, whether it is on a social media platform, a family unit, a town hall meeting in the National House of Representatives, wherever it is? Do we have the willpower to actually execute those beautiful policies we have enumerated? So let's start from the beginning. For us to do better, we need to see what we did that was not very correct, and then we can now work on it and improve. There are some issues that are mostly like political strategies. If you have an electric fence, you would not like to tell the armed robber where the electric fence is because he will prepare for it. But the basic thing we need to do as obedience is to encourage one another. Encourage one another that there is hope, and then we meet and discuss. And when we are going to present a case, let it be in unison. If we don't sacrifice now, if we only talk and we don't come out when we say, let us go to the House of Assembly and ask them, why is this not done? There was this video that has gone viral. I also saw it on DDM. When a member of the Senate was asked how much he earns, and he said there's Freedom of Information Act, that they should go and check it. He was telling share of channels, or one of these vibrant journalists we have. Well, the Freedom of Information Act have permitted me to ask you, or empowered me to ask you, so why wouldn't he just say how much they are earning? Now, if we have corruption going on that way, and one person asks, these people can dispel it. But let us come out in a group and have a press conference. It will draw the attention of the policymakers. Let us come out in a group and put our demands clear. Are we resorting to violence? No. Are there people who may be, standing aside to take advantage of it? Yes. Can that one be tackled? Very well. So in the first place, we have not come together enough to articulate what is wrong with our process as a unit and present it as a unit. There are a lot of intelligent arguments that young people have profiled on social media, but they are still dispersed. So let us come together, be united, articulate our points, and take, after making the policies of what we need to do, we present it to our lawmakers, House of Assembly in the states, the federal, Senate, and the House of Representatives. The lack of unity is one of the major things we are having as a problem. So, but we can make a difference. We look at what we have done wrong and plan to, work on them. I think I'll leave it around here, Mr. Agonifo.
Thank you very much, sir. National Chairman of COPDEM. I think you are speaking along the line of what COPDEM is actually doing, trying to take the fight beyond the 2023 elections and all that. But we encourage all groups to either join in this or all individuals to join COPDEM in this. Before I go on, sir, I want to allow Prince Oladipo to ask his questions or make his contributions. Prince Oladipo, please go ahead.
Thanks so much, sir. Really appreciate for yielding the floor and permit me to stand by the already established protocol. My question to the national chairman, COPDEM, is that understanding the fact that the obedient family appears to have some unity of purpose when it comes to the national or presidential elections against the state or local government elections. So in this wise, how can the family be effectively harmonized to achieve good governance, not only at the federal level, but also at the state and at the local government level? That is one. Secondly, it is often said that all politics is local. And going by the Supreme Court judgment of 11th July 2024 recently, a greater amount of autonomy has been given to the local government level. So meaning that politics now is largely localized. So to this extent, how can this family, I want to be, be effectively mobilized or harmonized to participate, in local politics and governance in order to, promote good governance? Just thirdly, how will you advocate any reform to our electoral, system or electoral act in order to, achieve good governance? Because the process that throw up or recruit political leadership, is very, also very important, when we talk of, the objective of achieving good governance. So in what areas of amendment will you advocate in order to, recruit the right leader into political positions? Thank you, sirs.
Thank you, Prince Shola. But can you please repeat your first questions? I know the second one is harmonizing the obedient movement to have localized politics at local government levels at achieve good governance, and that of electoral reforms. What was the first one?
Yes, the first one has to do with the understanding that the obedient movement or family presently appears to have some unity of purpose when it comes to national or federal politics or elections, so as against state or local government. And these are some level of the government, government, the level of government that also require, good governors or the obedient movement to, participate effectively in, with some level of, unity. So how can they be, harmonized, or mobilized at this level? I mean, at the state or local government level, to ensure good governance, even at the federal level, because presently the obedient movement is, of course, we know that, members of the movement are from diverse backgrounds. So how can we then be effectively mobilized to, participate effectively, at federal, state, and local politics in order to ensure good governance? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I get that. Well, at the federal level had that unanimous ovation and support at that level because the individual concerned sold himself very well. His background checks out, and plus minus the platform he stood under was also with probably little influence from external parties. We had quite a number of good Labour Party faithfuls who were obedient to the core. And we know that he's a person who would keep his promise. So it was easy to rally around such a person at the national level. For it to be transformed or transferred or replicated in the state actors should also sell themselves well. The state actors should also come out from political party platforms that are trusted. That will help a lot. The state governors and even to the local government, they should also have clear-cut itinerary or what you call manifesto, what they intend to do, how they intend to achieve those things, and sell it articulately, logically, so that they will have the buy-in of the people. They should be examples of what they want to replicate. So in most instances, you have the nomination process, political process being quite steep. And I believe it is deliberate. Nomination forms going for 30 million naira for a local government chairman. What does he do? Okay, fine. He could go for crowdfunding. His followership would support him and procure the forms. As we speak, the elections in Adamawa for local government about being concluded. You need to see the kind of videos we have received for the INEC officials done printing massively. So we still have those kind of things going on. The polity is permeated by injustice and corruption. Now, the person they are massively thumb printing for, who directed them to do that thumb printing? Was there any arrest? You hardly would hear. So, what am I saying? First of all, the actors must be persons of proven integrity, and they must sell themselves well, and they must come out from political parties who have good coverage, who have people who are honest, and also their manifestos should be made clean and clear. Now, having said that, we have come to a state that we need to realize that we cannot vote along religious lines. We cannot go out to vote along nepotic lines, ethnic lines. We cannot have overbearing loyalty to any political party. We should look at who is able to deliver. Because if the hardship we're suffering, the bread that used to be 250 is now 1,005, and we have not learned from it, then we will not learn. You see, when somebody wears a shoe and the shoe is pinching him, nobody will tell him to remove the shoe. He should remove it. But when we are seeing evil, blatant evil going on, and we still close our eyes to it, the suffering is collective. So it is not enough to say that we have a united voice in advocating for good governance. What are we doing towards it? We need to get to a stage where we will tell the person we are voting, why are you coming from Dubai to come and say you will vote for you, that we should vote for you? What is wrong with you staying here and knowing our problems? Your family is in Germany and you're just appearing on the month of election. Fine, that is one. Let your children school where our children are schooling, so we know you will do something about the security of our schools. We need to ask questions. We need to put KPIs down. We need to put indicators, key performance indicators that we want these leaders, that we want to elect, to fulfill. Even if it is within their manifesto or not. If it is not within their manifesto, let them fix it in. We need to interview them and interrogate them. If possible, sign understandings that yes, we are 2 million of us who are going to vote you. But if you fail, we are going to use our rights and use the Electoral Act to recall you back. So that has not been done yet. We need people who would actually be from within us, who actually know our problems, and we vote for them. People we trust can deliver. If all of them are coming from abroad, fine. Then who is the best among them? Who is the one to do the job? Who can we hold accountable? Holding accountable does not, it doesn't end on campaign promises. We have gone 1 year into our governor's tenure, our president's tenure. How many of us have asked them to make a presentation? What have you done for us? Those people who are receiving 500 million naira for constituency allowance and they are building mud wells. Who has asked them? You are probably from Kogi or Lagos or Maiduguri. But those people who have not seen any dividends, anything come out of the 500 million, what are they doing? Who is going to ask for them? I was passing along and the bus came, had a problem, stopped by the way, and the conductor came out with the driver on the driver's seat. They want to push it to start. And then they said I should help them. With 7 people sitting inside comfortably, I said, am I going to push these people for you? If these people want to move, let them come down and push. Then I will join them push. So we need to start telling each other the truth. This is when we begin to ask our leaders for accountability. Then those who are coming in, whether at local government levels, they will be accountable. Now let me just go straight to your next question, Prince Shola. The issue of the local government autonomy is a beautiful development. Hitherto, we didn't have an existing local government at all. Forget it. No matter how many times, even those who have had elections and have no power to implement anything were mere pictures. It's like having the governor of the state being the chief security officer of the state, but the commissioner of police in the state is only answerable to the inspector general of police. The GOC located in the state is only answerable to the chief of defense staff. So that position of chief security officer of his own state was only a political balloon. So now, with the autonomy, local governments can now receive their 150 million in some cases each month. Get your 14 million out for salaries and then begin to affect life of the people. Thank you, my sister from UK. This condition in Nigeria, all the risky. However, let's just continue with what we have. So for that, yes, local government autonomy is, I think, what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done and has done well. I didn't vote for him in the last election, but I think he has done this one well. It is left for us, obedience, to now look and see who is going out for us. And I pray the next thing that will happen is let us begin to have electoral reforms and like independent candidacy. So yes, it's a welcome development. And if we decide to vote out of emotions and not looking at key performance index that will present to those who we want to represent us, then we'll have a problem. In a nutshell, you are going for local government elections. They have their manifestos. Their manifestos are crafted by some beautiful people or AI on social media. The real manifesto that we should now have is the one that the people present and let these candidates endorse that they will do this for us. And if they don't, let us come out to ask them within the shortest possible time, you are not performing according to our agreement. And then evoke the Constitution, get the corresponding number, 2/3 of the people who voted for him to that office and recall him back. Then we look for a true obedient person and put him in that office. Then the third question is any electoral reforms I wish to advocate for. Well, do we really have an electoral empire? How many of our electoral systems or elections have gone free, fair, and credible? It seems that it's either INEC, as it is presently constituted, it is heavily overburdened and therefore desperately incompetent of delivering elections, which is the only process, the process of bringing people into power. Why do we still tolerate INEC? That's the thing. Well, they say, okay, Professor Mahmoud's tenure is going to go out. Has he done well to even end his tenure, owing to the pain the Nigerians are in on his own look during his own tenure as an officer? How many people have they queried for election malpractices who are staff of INEC? So the first reforms I think we'll need to do is to completely disband and unbundle INEC. If that is done, people will have hope in Nigeria. Then we can revert to the Justice Owais recommendation that President Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memory had put in place. Bring out those very recommendations and see how we can tweak them to reflect current day realities. Go back to the 1963 Constitution, match with the Owais Constitution, put together a body of brains that will make Nigeria decentralized so that people begin to work. We should also look to a situation where we don't have a National Assembly that is so desperately corrupt that, I mean, instances that when it comes to their own salaries, they decided on what they would have. They had that meeting and they all agreed that they should earn that much. Why should they have such power? Who is overseeing, who is checking those excesses if they now happen to be perpetrated by people whom we call our representatives? Millions of naira for you alone while people are suffering. Jeep, millions of naira, you alone while others are suffering. Constituency allowance, millions, you alone. Ha! So these things need to be reformed and on paper. And I would dare say that the executive and the legislature should look into these things quickly and urgently, because the rate of depression hunger, inflation inflicted on Nigerians has gone to a climax. And if we allow it to go further, Kenya will be child's play. Dismantle and disbundle INEC, break it into smaller units that people can actually administer. Also, leverage on technology. We have a lot of boys who have graduated, some of them just secondary school, but because there is no hope, they have turned to Yahoo boys to rob people of their money nationally and internationally. Get those boys, take them to correctional facilities, well, not really prisons, get them psychologically let their brains be rewashed so that they can use their talent to help Nigerian political system and not be duping people. Secondly, we have enough graduates of who are ICT savvy. We have people, experts and professionals who can leverage. Let's use blockchain technology. People don't rob Bitcoin. You can't hack it. So let us have our elections, leveraging on technology. I had a chat with some political observers, European Union and others, and they say, so we still go and buy paper to go and do elections. I said, yes. They said, why? In their place, you use your bank card, your driver's license. So we can adopt these very measures. What do? We have our ATMs, and 90% of the time it has been effective. Just make e-voting to be what we'll be doing. Go with your BVN, which can be injected into your driver's license or your bank ATM card. Insert it in, it will verify you with your BVN number. If you like, have 20 voters card. It is nonsense. With your BVN number, it is in everywhere. You can have 15 accounts if you have the right to, but it's one BVN. Vote with your BVN number electronically. Punch the thing. You don't need to buy paper for it. Just like you flip through your phone and choose which app to open. Vote for the person you want to vote. When you vote, let your small slip come out like the POS machine will pass you a small slip. If you want to cross-check results after, drop that one in the ballot box. Instantly, with blockchain technology, it is reflected in all the control rooms, in all servers, and every political party that wishes to observe has access to that result at the same time. So before you even go home, you already know who has won the election, and it cannot be corrupted. We need to have e-voting. We need to inculcate. We need to find a way of bringing in blockchain, leveraging on blockchain technology to have seamless elections. That way, there are quite a number of political reforms we need. But first of all, the greatest culprit and the threat to Nigerian democracy is INEC. INEC need to be truly independent. Let us have proper INEC chairmen brought into place who are not subservient or being appointed by the CNC. Let it be by a consortium of bodies that we have put together. So thank you very much. Let me not make too much noise, but there's a lot to do.
Thank you very much, sir. As a matter of fact, we have like 2 hands up. But quickly, before I call on the hands up, quickly, sir, it's a good thing that you mentioned the Adamawa state election, local government elections currently going on. You also mentioned the hunger, inflation, and the inability of the electorate to hold elected officers accountable. My question in all of this, do you think that Nigerians are actually, do you think they actually know what they want in the area of good governance? Considering we saw today in Adamawa State, the young men that will say we want to categorize under the obedient movement now, or who are agitating for governance, are the same people that the politicians are using for elections that are ongoing and not allowing the elections to go on proper. So what's the thoughts? Do you think we are really serious?
Unfortunately, that is the situation on ground. And when hunger has been weaponized, loyalty, integrity, truthfulness, and morality becomes cheap. It becomes a commodity. The corrupt indices and corrupt persons we have in the world know that, I mean, they have this saying that everybody has a price. So you can get a man to kill his father, depending on how cheap he is. It can be 5,000 naira for a human head, or 50,000 that we see in videos on the social media, or it can be you don't have enough money to buy my vote. I think the key question here is awareness. We have not really concentrated on our efforts in supporting media outfits that actually promote good governance. And we need to begin to tell each other, our neighbors, if you have the knowledge, if you know, if you are foresighted, and you know that if things are not done correctly, the suffering will not continue, the suffering will double and triple until Nigerians begin to go in the street and die, fall dead out of Koshoko like flies. If we are able to articulate that position clearly, and the solution lies with the people, democracy is the government of the people, for the people, by the people. It means by, it means that it is the people who have the power. But in ignorance and illiteracy, we don't know that we have the power to recall all these juggernauts. Even if you have a political godfather in the state, you should call him to accountability. You should call him to be accountable. We are once we claim that we are poor and so we receive any money, we need to begin to take decisive actions. But first of all, call those culprits to the round table and tell them, we are now suffering because you sold out as a political party agent, because you sold out as an INEC official. Let good conscience reign, for God's sake. So, but we need to come together. One of the things that the obedient movement should do is to put that up as part of its major thing: awareness, awareness, awareness. And let us know that doing this awareness does not require you that you must necessarily look for money to tell your brother that this is what is right or wrong. If anybody is waiting to be mobilized by the diaspora before he can now move towards around his community and tell them, well, this suffering will continue unless we change ourselves, without him being paid shishi, 1 kobo, then that person is either daft, greedy, or is not serious. This pain is coming. We're just in the beginning of it. So we need to sacrifice time, at least within our communities, to begin to create awareness that if we don't stand as a people and see what is wrong with us and encourage each other to do the right thing, we are going to die here. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I will allow Mr. Martins Egbe to ask his question or make his contributions. Then, after which Teres Oyema Promise will also ask his questions and make his contribution. Mr. Martins Egbe, please unmute your mic and make your contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Agbonifo. And Prince Rampan, congratulations on your outing. You've done very well. I pretty much appreciate the articulation you have put into this broadcast and the efforts you put in trying to proffer solutions to some of the problems facing Nigeria. On my own end, I don't like to be pessimistic because I'm tired of being pessimistic about Nigeria. But each time I make predictions, it comes to pass. Nigerians, I keep saying it, are their own worst enemies. I'm even beginning to believe that Nigerians are even worse than their politicians. Because like Shawore said in one of his television outing, that it's only in Nigeria that the oppressed, aspires to be like his oppressor. That is a very deep statement. You are being oppressed. Instead of you to fight your oppressor, you want to be like your oppressor. I have been following the local government chairmanship election in Aniocha North. Practically, there was no election. But I'm sure by tomorrow morning, there will be a result. And these young men, they are all out there complaining and complaining. They're not doing anything about it. A woman in my own town that I respect a lot, that is a member of the PDP, had all the election materials in her house. All the polling units had no materials, none, not one. What kind of a system is that? I'm glad you brought up awareness. That was why I suggested to, I believe it was Scope them, that they should do probably a competition for Nigerian higher institutions to create a jingle educating Nigerians what to do with their votes, because it is terrible. You cannot trust any Nigerian. Personally, I don't trust any Nigerian alive. I give you benefit of doubt. That's all I give you. And 99.9 out of 100, they always prove me right. Mr. Bonifo is aware of a local government chairperson we picked up and scoped them to see how we can make him the local government chairperson of Aniocha North, because he has accepted the only one that he will sign an understanding, a memorandum of understanding with his constituents, that if he doesn't do what he's supposed to be, what he said, he tells them he's going to do, that they should remove him. But on their primary night, what did they do? Without consultation, he said he stepped down for a person that he has complained about over and over, that he's not even a member of their party. He just came with his money. He did a, I told him, my friend, you just collected money from this man and you walked away. So how many Nigerians can we trust? It's like each time they keep proving me right, that the difference between a corrupt Nigerian and the other Nigerian is opportunity. Once the other Nigerian gets the opportunity, he becomes a corrupt Nigerian. So with that kind of mentality, Prince Rampan, do you think we can ever get out of this mess Nigeria is in? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for your contribution. So we also allow Terry Soyema Promise to make your contribution. Please go ahead, Mr. Promise. Just unmute your mic and make your contributions.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for the opportunity. I congratulate the organizers of this program. Please, I would just want to make this contribution. I've had a lot of comments here, but please, I just want to encourage us to look at this whole situation from another angle, because I don't really think the Nigerian problem right now is the Nigerian people. We have common enemies. At least what happened in the last general election, we proved that Nigerians are ready to do the right thing when they see someone to follow. Of course, even the man sitting there knows that Nigeria did not vote him. So Nigerians have tried doing their best, but they are frustrated. And then to my own understanding, the problem right now is not about getting good people. The problem is that good people can't come because they know that the system will not allow them. There are few Peter Obis around. So I think our greatest fight is with the system. Like my brother talked about getting credible people and making them sign undertaking or party manifesto. The truth of the matter is that right now there's no political party in Nigeria. And that is why, of course, obedient movement is about a person and not about a party. The Labour Party was not in existence until Peter Obi entered. So Nigerians are really looking, but the greatest frustration now is the system. Nigerians voted, they did their best, and that is the best they could have done. Come out and vote. But somebody stole the vote. So the challenge now is not even about good men coming out to contest. The challenge is, where are they going to contest? Because these good men we are talking about, if really they are good men, it means that even their monies are hard-earned. Which man we want to earn money and come and waste it on a journey? You know, you have less than 5% chance because of the system. So please, my own little contribution is that if we really understand where we are, we have a system to fight if we really want to make a change. Because honestly, so many people have decided never to vote again because of the last election experience. And if things continue the way they are, it's only going to get worse, because the few people that sacrificed, did so much to come and vote, and at the end of the day, they got heartbroken, we will not try it again. So even if we get a good man, get him to give us a promise, and we put him out there, the question is, do we have what it takes to deliver him? That is where the problem is. No more Nigerians voting. They have done it, and they were disappointed. The system robbed them of their choice. So if we are looking at what to do, is making sure that there is a system that will ensure that the person that wins an election gets it. And of course, the truth of the matter is that it can't come by sensitization. Nigerians already know what to do with their vote, but the system is stealing from them. So what are you going to tell someone who voted in the last election to come out and vote again? They will ask you, what of the last one? It's not about Nigerians voting any longer. It's about the system stealing what, giving them what they didn't bargain for, and nothing is happening. And of course, we know that right now the current government is in charge of everything. The judiciary is in their pocket. They are working hand in glove with the executive. Look at what happened. What business has the Senate president sitting down there? He has no business being, he has no right contesting. We should look deep on what is going on. This country is in a mess. And it can only take a people that are ready to die to make a change. It's going to take a lot of sweat in the sun to make a change. It's not about sensitization. Because the person you're going to sensitize is not the problem. The problem is those people there. The Senate president should not contest the election, because by the Electoral Act, he has contested one election and lost. He was not supposed to contest another one, but see how they smuggled him in. And the judiciary was there. They used the judiciary to get it. We have a big problem in our hands. The Nigerian people are not the problem. We would be unfair to say that Nigerians, honestly speaking, Nigerians have done their best in the last general election, and everyone saw it. They have tried. Everybody cannot agree. Even if it's Jesus or Muhammad that is coming to contest, there will definitely be people that will go against them. So we don't expect everybody to file in. But the whole issue was that Nigerians voted overwhelmingly for who they wanted, but it was stolen. So I think that this action should be about how do we bring a change in the system now that will encourage people to come out in the next general election, because it's coming by the corner. The things that made them succeed in stealing the last election, what are we doing to make sure it does not happen again? That's the question. And that's also the question they're going to ask you. The last one we voted, they stole it. This one you want us to come and vote. What are you doing? How are you going to protect the vote? Nigerians are ready. They are tired, but they're handicapped. Even some of these young men you are talking about, like I think the convener said, this is hunger. And honestly, there's so much hunger in the land that 5,000 naira now is like gold. You may not blame them, because some of them are dying of hunger. Do you expect them to just stay inside the house and die? No, they have to take the one they saw. And this is what the politicians want to continue doing, because they know that once they push you to the wall with hunger, you can take anything and do anything. For any few naira there, your eye will turn red and you're ready to do it. And that is what they are doing. So I think that there is much work to be done. And already, honestly, I think we also run out of time. You know, we are fighting against an enemy that have so many things in there. There is a time these issues will come up and they tell you, well, you know, it's late. We can't start these things now. It has to be after the next general election. So I think we're already losing time, because let's think that these things will come on a platter of gold, because the people we are going to fight against are the ones enjoying the rotten system. So it's not as easy as we are looking at it. It takes the people that are ready. And I promise you, a lot of Nigerians are out there waiting. The only problem is that they've not seen a leader. You can mobilize 1 million men on the street of this country if they see who to follow. And it's not going to be on negotiation. It's not going to be a round table. Before it gets to round table, those politicians out there, those vampires out there must know, they must see that it's no more business as usual. And they can only see it in the streets. Otherwise, every grammar we are speaking here will also go as another discussion. They must see action. Otherwise, we are not making any headway, because they think, they feel from what they are doing, they have everyone in their pocket. And of course, when we see what is happening, they have, for now, they have everyone in their pocket, until some of us comes out and say, no, enough is enough. And it has to be done in the open. The world has to see. Otherwise, we won't make any headway. Nigerians have tried. We must give them that. Even, you see, even the few is, look, Nigeria has even overgrown the area of tribalism. By providence, I'm in the West. And I was here when the election was held. So when some people are saying Yorubas, I tell them, no, please, it's not true. An average Yoruba man did not vote Tinubu. So Nigeria have grown. But the problem is that the people does not have yet a leader that will lead them out. They need someone to follow desperately. So if there is an opportunity, if there's a possibility of giving this leadership, then in the next 1 year, Nigeria should be singing a new song. Like this issue of electoral reforms. Who is talking about electoral reforms? Nobody is talking about it. And these are the areas that we need to give pressure. These are the areas we need to give pressure to say no electoral reforms, no election. It's not everything. I mean, there is a lot of battle to be fought, because the people enjoying this rotten system are the ones holding power. So it's not going to be easy. Nigerians have tried. They have tried. They have shown that they can do the right thing. But the problem is the system has been hijacked. So we have to fight for the system to be changed. Otherwise, 2027 general elections is even going to be easier, smoother for them than now, because many more good people will not come out again. So I just say, I want to encourage the organizers that there is more work to be done. First of all, inside, then mobilization, then there has to be a confrontation. Otherwise, nothing will change. Well done. May God help. But I know it's possible.
Thank you very much. Promise, your input has been very enriching. Like you have said, Nigerians have actually shown a lot of resilience. But again, to achieve good governance, the resilience has to be consistent, and awareness too has to be consistent. Also, you have also identified the challenges of the institutions that are driving the system. So as we begin to round up today's program, I want to direct this to our guest tonight. In view of all of this that we have identified tonight, what immediate and long-term steps do you think that we can take to begin to redirect the focus of Nigerians in general and the electorate in particular towards achieving good governance?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Egbe. I'd have loved to have asked, before I answer your question, about the next steps to take to remedy the situation we are in. Mr. Promise, would you like to be that leader? Mr. Promise, are you still there?
Yes, please, I am.
Yes. You see, you have brought out very key indices that Nigeria is facing. The system is rotten. Agreed. And Nigerians are aware, majority are aware of that's the problem. Maybe not as articulately or having your in-depth, but would you like to be that leader, even if it is within your own caucus, within your own surrounding?
Of course, I'm available.
Beautiful. Are you a member of COPDEM?
Sorry?
Are you a member of COPDEM?
Well, I have been following. I wouldn't really know if there is any process of registration, but I've always been following the group. That is how I got to know even about this program.
Oh, beautiful. I would like to invite you personally to be a part of COPDEM. We need minds like you around to discuss. And I pray that you won't turn down my invitation. Is it okay by you, sir?
My brother, this is our country. Some
Thank
of us
you.
refuse to run away because this is our country.
Thank you very, very much.
Anything for this.
Amen. So you see, that is it. It didn't quite cost me much to reach out to you, or actually it didn't cost me anything. But having identified that I have a brother who is probably aborigine to the southeast, based in the southwest, with an in-depth political orientation, and we are singing the same song, why don't we come to the same boat? That is just the awareness I'm talking about. There are a lot of things that, of course, we will not be able to discuss here in the open. But like you said, yes, you consistently put down the procedure. We need to have strategy. We need to have in-house discussion. And then at some point, we may not be able to avoid confrontation, which is going to be putting out our voice and let the public hear. And so thank you very much for accepting the offer. I would really like to know which state you are. I mean, we can have that discussion later, or you could just drop a note to Kevin or the moderator and inbox so that we can continue the dialogue and work together. And for everybody who is listening, who is watching, and you feel like this is the problem with Nigeria, you are available for us to work together. Please feel free. Kevin, can you drop a link? There is COPDEM in every state in Nigeria. Feel free to be part of COPDEM. We don't have all the brains, but we are hungry enough to remain in existence 1 year after the election, doing the same thing, trying to get people to come together. A few days ago, there was this man who went up the poll. Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you for that. You can be a part of COPDEM. Just go to the chat box and click the link. And of course, to any of the states of the Federation, we're going to get in touch and we continue the conversation. A few days ago, there was a man who climbed the radio house pole, the mast in Abuja. I think it was, is it Aso or somewhere? He was alone. We probably may not see it in CNN or some of the local media, even so local Nigerian mainstream media. Imagine if 100 people had climbed that mast in different angles, making the same protest. It will be on CNN. It will be on Al Jazeera. So there is a mass, an attention drawing, a power in collective action. So before we can have that collective group come together, there has to be an awareness of identification of like minds, people who want to have Nigeria better. We had a small meeting within the Middle Belt, Save Nigeria, Save Middle Belt platform. And there was the brother of one of the late aspirant for governor, Mr. Akums, laid down procedures for electoral restructuring, especially within the geopolitical zones, breaking them into separate units, and having resource control to the states. One of the things why the system thrives and it is almost unstoppable is because there is too much power in the center. With too much power in the center, they can decide where the resources go. Too much power in terms of all the revenue of Nigeria goes there. And all the appointments to every federal parastatal goes there. So by the time we're able to come together with these separate groups, let the Afeni-Ferries come, let the Pandef come out, let the non-violent part of Biafra come out, let those who are the Ariwa Consultative Forum come out. Let us begin to talk together because we are all suffering it, directly or indirectly. Our silence on this matter, it is a direct statement saying we agree with what is going on. So we need to we need to disaggregate. We need to forget those boundaries and come together as a people. As long as we don't come together, there's no hope for Nigeria. We are tired. Experience have shown that when you allow individuals to volunteer and take the stand alone, we sacrifice them to the powers that be. And before you know it, they are knocked off in exile, like David Ahinde, who is someone I have admired for a long time and respect. Younger he may be, yes, but he has earned his ground. Where is he? Where is David? These are Nigerians that should be in to push forward, to encourage others, to expose the rottenness of the system. But because you say the truth, you are no longer in Nigeria. Why? His life was at stake. Where is Flag Boy? You know, I mean, how can we allow such people who are there while they're arresting Flag Boy? What did you do apart from recording it? You know, we need to know that this responsibility is for us, not for one person. We need to put the fear of being arrested behind us. We need to put the fear of being killed behind us. Once you're going to say the truth, say it. At least you have said it. You have beautiful proposals. You don't bring them out. You are afraid, oh, they will arrest me. DSS will identify. Let them do so. Yes, we know people like late Obadiah Milafia paid the ultimate price. Most of us believe that it was not a natural death. How could it be? But let us rally around points of truth. They are leaders that have come out in the open. Did we rally around them? So those who are around, please stay around. But let us bring our voices together to see what truth is, what will save Nigeria. We may not have all the facts, but we have the truth. And without us staying together, we are going to delve into more and more suffering. So thank you very much, Mr. Uche Martins. I thank you for the commendation. And we believe that Nigeria may be in a hopeless situation, but not an irredeemable position. It is so difficult to have faith in Nigeria as it is, but we don't have a choice. Even if your family is in the house burning, you'd like to go inside and redeem anyone you can pick out. Failure to do that is cowardice. That is for me, that is for you, that's for any other Nigerian who is thinking straight. We cannot wait for somebody else to do it for us. Like I always say, the goat that belongs to the entire community will often die of hunger because this neighbor will believe, okay, I'm in the fish farming and my neighbor at home will feed the goat. The one at home say, I have a headache, somebody else will feed. At the end of the day, that goat will die of hunger. So we need to put together strategies as to who does what, when, and where. But how do we put together those strategies? We must come together as a unit. We must have a way of leveraging on social media to connect with one another and encourage one another and take decisions together, or else we are all doomed. The system is corrupt. We will start with electoral reforms, and we cannot do it in isolation. Go to INEC now, they will arrest you. But if we all go, they might arrest all of us if they have enough space. But let us tell the president this is what we want, but not one person, not 3 people, everybody. If you want Nigeria to change, be ready to stand for Nigeria, and don't allow puppets, stooges, or thieves to steal it. The few good people within the executive corridors, if there are, the few good people within the legislature, if there are, the few of those who are in the judiciary, if there are at all, let them speak up, speak out, and profile solutions. We will support you 100% as long as you're honest in your drive. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It has been a very wonderful evening with you. I like that your last statement. We have a hopeless situation now, but it is not an irredeemable situation. Thank you very much, sir, and thank you for all the advocacy that COPDEM is doing. I wish that this will continue, but again, we have to stop. We have spent almost close to 2 hours for a program of an hour. Thank you very much. Pleasure having you tonight on our discussion. We hope to have you again. And for everyone that have been with us here tonight, we want to also thank all of you and thank you for your time. It will be another time next week, Saturday, for another edition of this discussion series. So for now, it's goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.